Back with more Buffy. This is episode 8 of season 7. I'm very excited to carry on, so what's going to happen next. Last episode I adored. So good. I liked all the different kind of stories with the separate characters doing their own thing, having these different experiences. And we kind of have our big bad-ish for the season, I would assume. The cause or origin of the "from beneath you it devours" kind of saying that's been going around all season. It's kind of talking about this mysterious force. We still, I think, need to learn a bit more about it, but I'm hoping this episode's really going to deal with the aftermath of that, because it would be a bit weird if they didn't really focus on that, given what everyone went through in the last episode and the fact that, you know, Buffy and Dawn's house right now is a bit of a mess. So there's that. Joyce, or not Joyce, seem to have a bit of a prophecy with Dawn and Buffy as well. Spike is apparently siring people again and biting people again, and I think there's obviously a bit more to that story. And yeah, I'm really intrigued to see where they're gonna take this next and where the season's gonna be headed. So yeah, really liking this final season so far. I think we've gone off to a really good start, and the fact that we're pretty close now to the halfway mark for the season, and I'm really loving the direction they're going in. And we even had the nerds back in the last episode. 2 out of 3 are now dead, so, you know, I'm slowly winning. But I was actually very intrigued by their story in the last episode and excited to see more, which I can't believe I'm saying. But it's 2020, and everything is, anything goes this year, really. So yeah, excited to see what's going to happen next. So let's get into the next one. Probably not a good sign. At least he seems to be enjoying himself. Oh! Hey! I know this place. I don't know this guy, though, I don't think. Nora! Oh. Oh! I'd forgotten about those guys. They were in the first few episodes, right? Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
The one we knew was coming. But that's what she said. Mom, she said that...
That's what she said.
Coming, that... Pain ship, remember? He can't hurt anyone.
It didn't stop him from hurting you. Hey, objective here. Maybe the chip's not working anymore.
Well, it's working, I've seen it.
I don't know if Xander can actually be objective.
How was your night?
It's alright.
Bloody good. Ha.
And yours?
Someone I used to know, actually. Holden.
Now you used to know him twice.
Master. We need to find someone that can watch him. Forget it, Harris.
Come on, Annie. You said you'd do it on the phone.
That was before you told me Spike's killing again, and now you want to leave me here alone with him?
I didn't mind being alone with him before.
What was that?
Now come on.
Have you searched his room for clues? Trophies from victims? Killers
I kind of went through this with Anya a few episodes ago, so it's kind of interesting.
Necklaces made from human teeth.
She doesn't want to help. I don't blame her.
No, it didn't occur to me.
Because if I get vamped, I'm going to bite your ass.
First time.
What was that?
Oh my.
Your mother. This thing, it had me for a while. I have to be there to stop it.
What's the plan here, Anya? Oh, Jesus. Oh, I knew it was gonna happen. It still got me.
Do be specific and tell a fella just exactly what you're doing here.
Snooping?
Sex.
Beg pardon?
You and me. It's not like I'm snooping around for proof that you're some sort of whacked out serial killer.
Oh dear.
I said that. Forget I said that. It's craziness talking. It's just nerves.
If things were different, you're right, Catch.
I got it. No problem. I understand. All I'm saying is Soulless Spike would have had me upside down and halfway to Happy Land by now.
Halfway to Happy Land. Wow. That must be my Tinder profile somewhere. I'll take you halfway to Happy Land by now. So this is good that they're still using Anya to like help out. Smooth talker. Jeez.
You're a little bit bad.
Well,
You a bad boy. 'Cause I don't mind.
you might in a
I
minute.
was getting pretty bored. You know I want you to. Is
Oh, okay. So that is the thing telling him to do it. Oh, shit.
there's my guy.
Oh, no. Not great.
It haunts me. All of it. If you think that I would add to the body count now, you are crazy.
So what? You just troll the promenade looking for drunk co-eds because you're hungry
So does he
for
get like in a
conversation?
trance when it happens?
Oh, is that what this is? As daft a notion as soulful Spike the Killer is, it is nothing compared to the idea that another girl can mean anything to me.
Oh my.
But the soul I got on my own. For you.
Something.
Tell me what happened. You talked to her, then what?
We talked. That's all I remember.
I can imagine Xander being outside the door with a glass or something.
Talk to people, I don't.
Those weren't the spirits of, our people. Just because of some evil thing doesn't mean what they said can't be true. I used to tell the truth all the time when I was evil.
It can be a half-truth.
Can't assume anything. We need hard facts. The computer's a moron.
Yeah,
No, there's missing people.
he's been burying him.
Right now, he's the only one who knows for sure.
I'm not even sure that's true. It's being messed with. He doesn't know what's... a few episodes ago he had no idea what was real and what wasn't. Very good cover story if you believe it yourself.
Okay, I'm gonna list the reasons that won't happen. One.
Oh! Okay, so that hurts him then. Why doesn't it when he's killing them? Oh, angsty song time. It's an angsty song in the last episode 8. It is interesting, because I'm sure at this point there was a big fan debate, can you blame Spike, Soul or not, for what happened in Seeing Red. Now the actual characters are having the same debate
He hit you?
in a different kind of scenario.
The type that's left alone.
Oh, I get it. You'd rather I slip into something more comfortable.
Oh boy!
You didn't seem so shy when you were biting me.
Yeah.
I'm not asking if you want to be soulmates. Just figured you'd want to have some fun.
He's already got a soul, mate. Huh.
So that all it was to you? A one-bite stand?
Jesus. Show must go on. I guess it's Sunnydale, that's probably normal, isn't it?
Billy Idol wannabe?
Actually, Billy Idol stole his lip from Everly. Has he been here?
I guess it's hard for them to believe that maybe Spike had visitations and stuff like they did, because Xander didn't, maybe.
I need to see you.
Ah.
There's a house, 634 Hoffman Terrace.
I'll meet you.
Oh, it's good he called her.
You shouldn't have done that,
Oh.
but we can make it work.
Brings a whole new meaning to talking to yourself, doesn't it?
How could you use a poor baby?
Spike!
Oh. Do they have like a trigger word for him or trigger phrase? Trigger song? Excuse me, sir. Oh heck. Perfectly dramatic timing there, folks. I wonder if that's like a song from when he was William, maybe, like from his time. That's why it triggers him. Yeah, snap out of it. Yeah. Nicely done.
You failed.
I feel like a new Slayer.
Sorry, man. What is my job?
Oh. That would be me as a vampire.
Do it fast, okay? You said you would do it.
Who said?
There was a song.
What are you talking
I
about?
think the song is
I
something.
don't know. You make it so I forget again. I did what you wanted.
There's something here.
What is it? Why is it doing this to me?
Because they're mean.
I don't know.
Can you help me?
She can
I'll
try.
help you. I think there was something there, talking to him, making him do things.
Yeah, he could have some
Something
information.
like what was talking to us. I'm gonna have to get close to Spike.
No, it's too dangerous.
I don't have a choice. Whatever
Did that
this
last
thing
season.
is from beneath us.
Oh!
Are you here?
Is this from the start? I forgot about this.
What? It's started. It's all right. I
Giles.
understand. I'll take care.
Oh fuck. Okay, pretty solid episode overall. I really liked it. I enjoyed that they did kind of really focus on a lot of the aftermath of the events of the last episode, for the most part. There was a lot of obviously focus on Spike, and I think it was kind of inevitable we were going to get a big Spike-heavy episode like this at some point, given that out of everyone, you know, Spike had been really being tortured by whatever this thing was for the longest, as we saw in the season premiere. So I think that was kind of needed and necessary, and I'm glad we kind of got that. Obviously we had Sander back in this one as well, we had Anya back in this one, and we didn't explore any more of the Andrew Warren-y kind of stuff, which I won't necessarily complain about. So I think that was one thing that wasn't really brought up again, exactly what they killed Jonathan thought for, and like the glowy thing that he fell on with his blood, what exactly that entails, we don't know yet. But I think that's fine, because at this point we have that, we have this thing like taunting Spike and potentially Dawn as well, and Willow, all of that jazz, and we have these people in all over the world who are like being killed by these hooded people, and I'm glad they brought that back in this episode, because I'd forgotten about it entirely. So I don't know if that's going to be linked somehow, or if that's two separate storylines. We're going to get some answers, I assume, given that they've tied Giles to that story. So I'm glad that we have that whole thing going on, and they have now put Giles in there, so it's like another main character we really care about who's dealing with that. And I feel like at some point, you know, they're going to merge, and maybe they are the same story, maybe they are two stories that are just going to converge at some point, I don't know. But it was just so great to see Giles. When did we last see him? I think it was like episode 2, I think. We saw him very briefly in England, obviously. He still is around there, but this, I think, will bring him back into the main action eventually. Although, he was, you know, could have been beheaded at the end there, or knocked out or something. He's not dead, he won't be dead. Because that's not how they're going to kill off Giles. If they're going to kill off Giles, they would, I think, at least have him have some scenes with everyone else first. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a bit salty from what's been happening on other TV shows lately. But I trust them not to kill off Giles quite like that very quickly and stuff. So maybe that's just a way of, you know, we know Anthony isn't a main cast member anymore. So they don't need him to be in every episode if he's unconscious somewhere. So good for Giles getting knocked out again. I enjoy that continuity for his character. That's basically a character trait of his at this point anyway, so just typical Giles. But it was nice to see him very briefly at the end there, just to know that he's still out there, he's still doing stuff, and I'm sure we'll see him again soon. And I'm not too worried about him right now, because like I said, I don't think that would be how they kill him, if they're going to kill him. They might kill him off this season, it's the final season, what do I know? But I don't think it's going to be like that. But I'm glad they it's a good point in the season, I think, to have like a fresh reminder of, okay, so all this is happening right now with all this weird vision-y stuff, torturing people, telling them lies potentially. But also remember at the start of the season when you had these girls and this guy now being killed by these hooded people. Yeah, let's bring that back. Just remember that that happened at the start of the season as well. So converging, I like that. I thought that was well done. It was, you know, they hadn't brought it up in a little while, but it wasn't, they hadn't waited too long to kind of return to that without, you know, you being like, what's that? You know, it had been still short enough amount of time to be like, oh yeah, that happened at the start of the season. So that was, I think, very well judged, and it's an excuse to see Giles, which I will always say yes to. So that was cool. Intrigued to see where that's going to go and if that's going to tie into what's going on currently, or if that's a whole separate storyline altogether. Maybe they wrap up this whole thing early and then Giles comes in later on in the season being like, okay, we've got this problem to deal with now, and that's another big bad for them. Who can say? But I'm excited about that. And yeah, I enjoyed the focus on Spike, and I enjoyed seeing Spike go through this stuff and not have to necessarily put blame on him for it, because I don't think you really can blame him for being manipulated in this way, in the fact that he's already in a very, very vulnerable position because he's just got his soul back. We saw how Angel was when he just got his soul back. You know, he's like clinging to Darla, being like, oh, I just don't want to feel it. I want to feel something other than the cold. You know, he's really weak and vulnerable. And whatever this thing is, I think is instantly kind of taken advantage of that, which is interesting. And, you know, Spike didn't remember that he was killing all these people. I assume we're going to get an explanation for why it didn't seem to be hurting him when he killed his people. Yeah, it hurt him when he punched Xander. Maybe he's just ignoring the pain when he does it because he's being manipulated a bit. Maybe he's forgetting that it hurts because they seem to be able to make him forget that all this was happening. But yeah, they're messing with him in quite a big way. But I enjoyed kind of what they did with Spike in this episode, which I'm very delighted to say because I have not entirely said that wholeheartedly for a while. So that was really fun to actually enjoy Spike's character, because it's the journey. It's a journey with Spike after last season. But I know a lot of people are angry at me for not being totally on board with Spike again straight away. But it is what it is. So I did enjoy that. I liked the idea of him saying he's being haunted by all this stuff that's happening to him as he's got his soul back. He's haunted by everything he did in the past, much like Angel is. And continues to be. I think that'll be an ongoing process for Spike. Particularly traumatic memory, he seems to be like shouting about, you know, make me forget it again. I think maybe that's going to be tied to the song that this thing is using to like trigger him and make him like lash out and attack and stuff. So I'm intrigued to explore exactly what that could be and where the origins of that kind of trigger phrase or song comes from. I imagine we'll get, you know, a bit of explanation for that, and it's an excuse to kind of delve into Spike's past a bit more. And when they've done that before, we had an amazing episode like Fall for Love, so I'm all for them doing that again for sure. So I enjoyed everything with that, and yeah, the fact that Spike was also literally kind of haunted by spirits and stuff in this one while feeling haunted by his past. Always a good thing when they have multiple kind of strands to that same theme. It's always fun to kind of explore. And they also did a bit of comedy with him to an extent, like the scene with him and Anya where he caught her going through his things and she pretended she wanted to sleep with him again. That was really funny and I liked that moment, and I enjoyed having Anya back in the fold. And this is what they should have done with Cordelia in season 3. When she broke up with Xander, they just completely kind of exiled her from any of the main plot lines. She still could have helped out, but they just chose not to have her do that. But I like that Anya was still kind of scorned by Xander, but they still found really good ways of keeping her involved in like the main plots of episodes and stuff like that. You know, she's not in every single episode, but at least she's about and has significant roles to play, and she still does want to kind of have this active role. So I really enjoy how they're still using Anya, even though she's not particularly in the Scoobies. I feel like she's definitely a lot more than she was. I feel like she's getting there now because she was like hanging out with them doing research and stuff. So I feel like she's basically back in the Scoobies now. But I'm enjoying that they can actually use the character even though she's not Xander's girlfriend / fiance anymore. So that was really good. And yeah, the scene with her and Spike was really funny. Very well done. You can always rely, I think, on Anya as a character to have some comic relief in that way, and it's not like overly done. It's not like a farce, like the comedy they can use Anya for. Not that they ever really go for like farcical comedy for the most part. There are some, you know, crazy moments, like even in him with Spike and Buffy with the like rocket launcher thing. You know, that was very over the top but very funny because it worked, because the episode was trying to be a bit different in that sense. And I like how well judged it always is when they use Anya for comedic purposes for the most part. I know some people have a bit of an issue with Anya being used as a joke a lot, but I think it actually works for her, especially because they have done some dramatic stuff with her earlier this season, and like Hell's Bells, Entropy, stuff like that. So yeah, I enjoyed her presence. I like Willow comforting Dawn at the start. She's obviously still very shaken up by the whole event with like the non-Joyce entity. I was hoping Dawn would tell Buffy about what Joyce had actually said to her about them potentially turning on each other or whatever, or Buffy turning on her. Maybe we'll get a scene about that later on down the line, but I think that would be a really interesting scene to see Dawn tell Buffy about that and see what her reaction would be. But right now I think they're in a position where they're like, well, clearly, you know, they're just lying to us, but as we saw with this episode with Spike, it kind of is a half truth, because they kind of suspected Spike was doing this all along, this episode, and he was, but obviously there's a lot more to it. So maybe that's going to make them think, okay, maybe there is like some real half truths to what we've been told by all these things in the last episode. So I'm excited about that, and I'm interested to learn more about whatever this threat is, because like, why are they picking and choosing? Why are they only focusing on taunting Spike in this episode, whereas in the last episode, you know, they're going after multiple people? Why aren't they just going after everyone all the time? You know, what is their big plan here? I'm excited to know a bit more about that and see exactly what this is we're dealing with, and clearly we're heading in that direction because that's what Buffy wants to find out as well. That's why she's keeping Spike around, so it's a good way of bringing him back into the fold with the main group again. So yeah, very well done in that sense, I think, in terms of structure and characters, because the characters that were kind of almost exiled by the events of last season, mainly Spike and Anya, are kind of very organically through this plot line brought back into the main group. So it's actually very, very well done. And I suppose you can include Willow in that, but they'd already kind of transitioned her back into the group in the first couple of episodes. So I liked everything with that. And Buffy having these suspicions about Spike, not necessarily wanting to believe them, but she knew she still had a duty to see it through and explore. And I like that she wasn't just like right from the off like, okay, Spike did this, let's go after him, let's question him about this. She had her suspicions, and obviously they were quite warranted, but there was a time when she was like, you know, give me proof that he's not. You know, she was open to kind of both sides, so I enjoyed that kind of side of things. And Buffy is often very level-headed when it comes to stuff like that for the most part, so I enjoy them continuing to show that aspect of her, because, you know, she's obviously probably one of the longest serving Slayers probably at this point now, because I think most of them would have been dead by Buffy's age. Well, she's like 2021 or something, I think they mentioned recently. So it's almost like new territory for like a Slayer to be this mature, which is again another interesting concept. So yeah, I always enjoy that aspect of Buffy's character and seeing her take the lead and take the initiative on things, but she can have a level head in the most important moments. Obviously, like the whole thing with her and Spike and seeing red, that was a bit more of like a personal issue with her, so there were maybe some crazy decisions going on with that. And even in Entropy, the episode before that, she kind of told Spike to move on, and when he moved on with Anna, she got pissed at him. So, you know, it's nice that clearly she's come a long way from all those events of last season. Spike clearly has too, because, you know, he went out and searched for his soul. I like that he made the point, like, I didn't ask to be made into a vampire, blah blah blah, but I did go out of my way to get the soul. I like that he kind of made that point. And I feel like Buffy may have already considered that, but even if she hadn't, you know, they show how level-headed she is, so I enjoyed that. And yeah, just seeing Xander pop up again as well. We hadn't had him in the last episode. And not a great deal with him, particularly because he didn't go through any of those experiences in the last episode, so he can then just be there and try and help out the best he can, do his best. I like that he tried to keep Spike from leaving, but then he got knocked out. Sorry, Xander. trying to be objective in that scene. I don't think it's physically possible for Xander to be objective about anything. You know, he made that snide remark to Anya in this episode about entropy. I think he would happily go with any excuse to kill Spike, just like he kind of was with Angel a lot. But that's fine, because that's Xander's character. Like, people have those human flaws, so I like that they kind of continue with that. And maybe he'll grow out of it, like at some point for the rest of the season. I don't know. But that seems like intrinsically a part of him, and that's always been there, I think, right from the off. Ever since, I guess, Buffy rejected him in Prophecy Girl, but he probably had it a bit before then as well. It's just ingrained in him. But it's good. Like, you know, a lot of this episode was showing these ongoing character traits for people like Buffy and Xander. Well, at the same time, they've still changed and grown so much from when you see them in season 1. I think that's just one of the great things about Buffy as a whole. I think their character development, and Buffyverse, I guess, because you consider, you know, how far Angel, Cordelia, Wesley have all come as well, from their appearances in Buffy to where they are now in the current standing of the Buffyverse. Yeah, all so different, but also very recognisably the people from season 1. They've just grown and changed, and we've kind of gone on that journey with them. So that's something I never really applaud enough, I don't think. Maybe I talk about it a lot more in the reviews, but that's what the reviews are for, I guess. So yeah, overall, fantastic episode. I really loved it. Liked them exploring the aftermath of the last one. Liked the focus on Spike, and seeing his responses to all of this. Buffy kind of weighing up what to do about him and decision, and then realising that they could really use him for more information about whatever this thing is, which I'm very excited to learn more about. Great to see Giles at the end there and bring back that initial mystery that they had going on at the very start of the season, so that's coming back into the fold at some point. It was a good, like, fresh reminder that that's still happening. Whether or not it's the same thing as all of this business in Sunnydale or not, well, you know, is yet to be seen, but I'm excited to learn a bit more of that. And yeah, everyone kind of had their good moments. I like the comedy aspect with Anya, but the fact that her and Spike are still very much a big part of the group and the story, when in the past I think the show may have exiled them a bit, but they've definitely learned from that, I think, from their mistakes, I guess, with Cordelia's treatment in season 3. So that was really good. Loved everything about that. And yeah, I really enjoyed Spike's character in this episode as well. And I hope they do continue that development, because, you know, I've always thought Spike's a fantastic character, even throughout, you know, season 6 and the end of season 6 when I was really struggling with him. He's a great character. That never changed. It was just, you know, I wasn't particularly happy with some of the actions and stuff. But we've talked long and hard enough about all of that, so let's just move on before I piss more people off. But yeah, that was a really, really fun episode. And I'm excited for more. But this season's really, really solid so far. I'm really liking a lot of it. And yeah, excited for more. And I'm even excited for them to continue the whole thing with Andrew and Warren and all that when that comes back later on down the line. But yeah, quickly approaching the halfway point of the season, which is nuts. And my next reaction will be to episode 9 of Buffy. So excited for that. And until then, thanks for watching.